So yes, we will start with the unit, that is structure of atom. Now in the previous chapter we have already discussed about what an atom is and
Yeah.
what are the things which are contained in an atom. So we are going to exactly see the structure. That means you can say the layout, how the atom looks like, what all things an atom contains. So basically we are going to deal with subatomic particles. Subatomic particles means small particles which constitute the atom. So I'll give you a rough model now, but we will see the different hypotheses and the different experiments that were done by the scientists to get a clear model of the structure of atom. Like today we
Yeah,
are
in
able
the
to recognize an atom, we are able to know that the atom consists of these particles or it is made of these particles, electrons revolve in this manner, but behind that what all hypotheses or experiments have been done, we will see that. So let us see what
hello.
an atom is
Um.
and what all
Yeah.
subatomic particles an atom consists.
In the last
So an atom, we know it is
chemistry chapter.
the smallest unit of matter, you can say smallest unit of matter, or you can say smallest constituent of matter which cannot be divided, right? We cannot divide, we cannot cut them.
Yeah.
We already gone through J.J. Thomson, this John Dalton's theory. Now talking about subatomic particles, three particles constitute an atom: electron,
Protons and neutrons.
proton, and neutron.
New. Yeah.
So an atom is basically a kind of spherical, it has spherical structure whereby at the center there is a positively charged core. So this center, it is so dense in the form that all the particles in this nucleus are heavily packed, and if we see the region occupied by the nucleus and the atom, we will find that nucleus is occupying very less space. That's why we say that it is very highly dense, and the electrons revolve in the orbits. Electrons revolve in the orbits. So the nucleus, it contains protons and neutrons,
Then
and electrons revolve around the nucleus. Electrons revolve around nucleus, and as we know that the nuclear region is very dense, that means we can say the size of nucleus is very small as compared to the size of atom. It is very small as compared to the size of atom. So the three particles, electrons, protons and neutrons. Electron, it was discovered by the scientist J.J. Thomson. Proton was discovered by E. Goldstein, and neutron was discovered by Chadwick. So if we talk about their natures, electron is negative in nature, proton is positive, and neutron is neutral. That means it does
yeah.
not carry any charge. It does not carry any charge. Now, these all things we already know about the atom. We know the nature of these particles. We know who has discovered them. We know where these subatomic particles are present. And we already know in an atom what is the region, what is the space, or what percent of space is contained by this nucleus or occupied by nucleus. So all these things we are able to know because there have been many postulations and hypotheses and experiments. So let us go with the very first hypothesis that was done by the scientist J.J. Thomson.
J.J. Thomson. Yeah.
So J.J. Thomson tried to present the model of atom. So J.J. Thomson, we call it as J.J. Thomson's model. It is also called as plum
The
pudding
watermelon.
model, We will see why it is called plum pudding models and all.
Yeah, we had discussed it.
It is
In
also called as
atom model.
watermelon model.
Hello.
So what did J.J. Thomson did? He didn't do any kind of experiment. Rather, he just gave his idea about the model of atom. He just gave a rough idea. He thought of an idea and he presented that. That means his idea was completely hypothetical, completely imaginary. So what did he say? That atom is similar to watermelon. Atom is similar to watermelon. That means he said the seeds in the watermelon, the seeds in the watermelon represents electrons, or basically the negative particles, and he named those negative particles as electron. And he said that other than seeds, whatever is the region, the reddish region, that is representing a positive region. So now you can say, you can see here, rather this Thomson didn't say that the positive charge is carried by any particle, but rather he said that positive charge is the charge which is present in the region. So here he was wrong. Although he presented the result, he discovered a subatomic particle carrying negative charge and named it electron. But there were certain limitations and certain achievements of this theory. So what were the achievements?
It
Very
discovered
few
an
achievements were there. First, he was able to state that atom is electrically neutral. Atom is neutral. Why? Because he said that whatever is the negative charge, to balance that, there are positive charges around the negative charges or around the seeds. Now the limitations, there are multiple limitations. Many limitations we can figure out here. You can see the complete idea was almost wrong. He said that positive charge is carried by the region. Positive charge is carried by region. So he gave no idea about proton, right? No idea about proton.
yeah.
Well, he only said that electrons are scattered because seeds are scattered in a watermelon. That means no idea about the revolution of electron in an orbit. And of course, he only limited himself in positive and negative charge. That means definitely there was no idea about the uncharged particle, that is the neutron. So no idea about uncharged particle, that is the neutron. So you can see J.J. Thomson's hypothesis, it was completely illogical because it was just based on his imagination. It was just based on the hypothetical knowledge what he is thinking of the atom. But yes, we were seeing one achievement, that atom is neutral. Now to overcome these limitations, there was another theory which was given by Rutherford. So to overcome the limitations as given in J.J. Thomson's model, Rutherford, he performed the experiment. And what was his experiment? It was,
Alpha scattering.
yes, alpha scattering experiment. So what did he do? He took a radioactive element and he bombarded alpha ray, and we know alpha rays are positively charged radiations, and he saw that if the alpha ray is passing through the gold foil, so there was also the reason why gold foil was selected, because it can be cut or it can be sliced similar to the dimension of atom, similar to dimension of atom. So when alpha ray was passing through the atoms, he made certain observations. So these all observations and all, it is previously described in Atoms and Molecules.
Yeah.
So based on his observation, he concluded, and there were many achievements of this Rutherford's model. whatever was not being able to explain by J.J. Thomson's model, that can be explained by Rutherford's experiment, and that is alpha scattering experiment. There were only very few limitations that Rutherford could not clear. Those limitations, we will see those limitations here. So according to Rutherford, electrons revolve, but revolving electrons lose energy, and if they lose energy, they should fall into the nucleus. So no idea was given by the revolving electrons that they maintain energy. They maintain energy, because if they could maintain energy, they will not lose energy, and if they don't lose energy, they will not fall into the nucleus. So who gave the
Yeah.
concept of this electrons maintaining energy in a particular orbit? That was
I think
given by the scientist Bohr.
yeah, okay.
So we will not talk about the complete Bohr's model about this revolution of electron, but roughly we will see Bohr's model as we require up to this level. So we will see Bohr's model, and according to Bohr, it was specified. I'll write the postulates here. It's important to remember the postulates. It was specified that orbits in which the electron was revolving, these orbits were discrete. Discrete means they were different in terms of energy. So different orbits were having different energy. So in higher classes we will see what energy is actually contained in every orbit, but as of now we will remember every orbit is having different energy. And his postulate stated that revolving electrons do not radiate, or they do not emit, or they do not lose energy. Revolving electrons do not lose energy.
Hello.
So if
The
they do not
screen.
lose energy, definitely the limitation of Rutherford's model is overcome, because if it will not lose energy, it won't fall into the nucleus. So
Yes.
this led to the conclusion that revolving electrons will not fall into the nucleus, and that was what was remaining. So the complete idea about the model of atom we already had after going through Rutherford's model, but it was even modified by Bohr's model.
Yeah.
Now, Bohr said that electrons revolve in different orbits, right? Electrons revolve in different orbits.
Yeah.
So these orbits, according to Bohr, they were numbered. So let us say this is the nucleus, and the orbit which is present nearest to the nucleus, that was represented by the shell numbers. So either you call orbits or you call it as shells, they are all same. So the shell which is nearest to the nucleus, that was given the number 1. The next shell was given the number 2. Next shell was given the number 3, and like this. So these shells were also represented by the letters. So n is equal to 1. If I write anywhere n is equal to 1, that means I am talking about the first shell, and it was represented by the letter K. We also call it as K shell. Similarly, if
Okay.
I say n is equal to 2, that means it represents second shell, and we can also call it as L shell. Either you say n is equal to 2 or L shell, that means same. N is equal to 3, it is named as M shell. N is equal to 4, it is named as N shell. Now there is also the limit here based on how many electrons an orbit or a shell can contain. So we have already gone through electronic configuration. You can check with the atoms and nucleus. Even I have also uploaded the video. I'll again give that link of that video. You can also revise that. You can see how we have gone through electronic configurations. But here, according to Bohr, he gave a formula. His formula was 2n square. This 2n square represents the maximum number of electrons that can be contained in a shell. So now with respect to the value of n, we can get the number of electrons that could be contained in that shell. It's not necessary it will be contained. Depending upon the electronic configuration, we use the idea, but n is equal to 1. That means 2 into 1 square, because the formula is 2n square. That will be 2 electrons can be accommodated at max. When n is equal to 2, that means 2 into 2 squared, that is 8 electrons. N is equal to 3, that means 2 into 3 squared, that is 18 electrons. N is equal to 4, that means 2 into 4 squared, that is 32 electrons. Now you can see I have represented here the maximum number of electrons that can be contained. It's not necessary that if we have 27 electrons in an atom, their arrangement will be 2, 8, 17. It's not right. There were rules to write down the electronic configuration. There were rules to distribute the electrons. So about electronic configuration, that's a different thing. But Bohr said that these are the number of electrons which could be accommodated. That means at max these could be present in these shells. Okay, let us do this first question. On the basis of Thomson's model of atom, explain how the atom is neutral as a whole. It says on the basis of Thomson's model of atom, explain how the atom is neutral as a whole. Neutral means how it is carrying equal positive and negative charge. So Thomson said that even if you consider, let us say, the watermelon structure, he said that negative charge is represented by all the seeds and it is balanced by the positive charges which were represented by the region other than the seeds. That means the reddish region. This reddish region, if it was representing a positive charge and seeds representing negative charge, then they can be balanced. So overall, if we see, negatives and positives nullify the effect and atom as a whole is electrically neutral.
Okay.
Next question, number 2. On the basis of Rutherford's model of an atom, which subatomic particle is present in the nucleus of an atom? Yes, it is protons. Because this was the reason in his experiment he observed that alpha rays, which were positively charged radiations, as it enters into the atom, most of the rays they go undeviated and some rays they deviate. And why will they deviate? Because the positive charge is contained in this nucleus. Okay, number 3, draw a sketch of Bohr's model of an atom with 3 levels. Bohr's model of atom with 3 shells, just a nucleus and the 3 shells represented by the letter K, L and M shells. Either you can represent by the letter K, L, M, or you can also write n is equal to 1, n is equal to 2, n is equal to 3. Number 4, what do you think would be the observation if the alpha particle scattering experiment is carried out using a foil of a metal other than gold? That gold can be beaten or it can be sliced into thin sheets, and how this will help us? That whatever observation was made, if I have, let us say, layers of atoms, atom over atom, then the result is going to be something different. It will be better if we have 2 3 atoms or only one atom, then definitely our result is going to be more better, more accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like name 3 subatomic particles of an atom. Just now we discussed electrons,
Protons, neutrons, and electrons.
protons, and neutrons. These are the 3 subatomic particles. The next one, helium atom has an atomic mass of 4U. U is unified mass.
Yeah.
And 2 protons in the nucleus. How many neutrons does it have? So atomic mass, we know it is the combination of protons and neutrons, and that is given as 4. And it is already stated 2 protons are there. So if you put P as 2, we can get N as 4 minus 2. So 2 neutrons it will have in its nucleus. Next one, write the distribution of electrons in carbon and sodium atom. So their atomic number of carbon, it is 6. So 2 4 will be the electronic configuration. Sodium atomic number is 11. 281 will be its electronic configuration. And based on this, we can easily say how many electrons are contained in each shells, K, L, M and N shells.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2 we will do. So K has the capability to hold 2 electrons. L has the capability to hold 8 electrons. And what would be the total number of electrons in the atom if they are full? Full means they will contain maximum number of electrons. So answer is 10 electrons.
Oh, yeah.
And how will you find the valency of chlorine, sulfur and magnesium? So chlorine, atomic number 17.
17.
We have to write their electronic configuration 287, and only one electron can be added to attain completely filled outer shell. So its valency will be 1. Similarly for sulfur, atomic number is 16 and its electronic configuration is 286, and its valency will be 2 because only 2 electrons will be needed to completely fill the outer shell. And same goes for magnesium with atomic number 12, electronic configuration 282, and its valency will be 2 only now. It will not be 6 because it will be easier for it to lose 2 electrons rather than gain 6 electrons, right? It will be easier to lose 2 electrons rather than losing or gaining 6 electrons, right? So valency will be 1, 2 and so in the previous unit we have also discussed what is atomic number, what is mass number. Atomic number, it is the number of protons
plus the number of neutrons.
And mass number represented by A, that is the sum of number of protons and neutrons. So here in a neutral atom, the number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons. But if the atom is not neutral, then it is ion. We also saw the reason for the formation of ions in the previous chapter, right? So here a new thing we will be seeing, that is isotopes, and we will see isobars. We will remember isotopes are the atoms of same element or atoms of same element having same element means definitely they will have same atomic number but different mass numbers. Same atomic number but different mass numbers. For example, if you look in the periodic table, you will see that, or anywhere if you search, you can see carbon has 3 isotopes, C12, C13 and C14. What does this indicate? That their mass is 12U, 13U and 14U, but they are all belonging to the family of carbon. That means their atomic number will be 6 only. So these 3 isotopes of carbon, they are important. Other than that, the isotopes of hydrogen is also important. those isotopes of hydrogen, they are called as protium, deuterium and tritium. Protium means 1H1, deuterium 1H2, tritium 1H3. So you can see their atomic numbers are all same, but their mass numbers are different. Or you can also say protium contains 0 neutrons, 1 neutron, deuterium contains, and tritium contains 2 neutrons. So these isotopes are also important. Also you will see
Okay.
that chlorine has 2 isotopes. What are the 2 isotopes? Cl 35 and Cl 37. We will do a question
No.
based on the isotopes of chlorine, but before that let us see what is meant by isobars.
Hmm.
You can see this 1, 2 and 3, these are the mass numbers. That means for any atom we can also remember its representation. How can I represent an atom? Let us say X is an atom represented by the symbol, and here we represent atomic number, and here we represent its atomic mass or mass number. Let us see what isobars are. So it is opposite to the definition of isotope. Isotope, what we saw, it was having same atomic number but different mass number. Isobars are those which have same mass numbers but different atomic number. So different
Okay.
atomic number means definitely the elements will be different. So for example, in the periodic table we will see that argon and calcium, they are having same mass numbers but their atomic numbers are different, right? We just now saw the symbol.
Yeah.
At the bottom we write atomic number and at the top we write the atomic mass. So argon and calcium, they have different atomic number and that's why they are different elements, and they are having same atomic mass or mass number. Let us write this one. For the symbol H, D and T, of course they are the symbols of protium.
Hydrogen.
H is the symbol for protium, that means 1H1.
Yeah.
D is the symbol for deuterium, that means 1H2. And T is the symbol for tritium, that means 1H3. Tabulate 3 subatomic particles found each one of them. So for protium, deuterium and tritium, each subatomic particles we have to write. So that means electrons, protons and neutrons. So how many electrons in each one of them? Definitely 1. Protons also 1. But neutrons will be 0, 1, 2.
0, 1 and 2.
And that's the reason these are H, D and T. These are the isotopes of hydrogen.
Okay.
Another one we will do. Write the electronic configuration of any one pair of isotopes and one pair of isobars. Any one pair. So any two isotopes we will take, any two isobars we will take. So isotopes I will prefer to take C12, C13.
Okay.
So they are having same atomic number. So if they have same atomic number, they are going to have same electronic configuration. That means 2, 4. Right? So for isotopes, electronic configuration will be same.
Okay.
And for isobars, let us take two isobars. So argon and calcium, it has 18 and its atomic number is 20. Now their electronic configuration definitely will be different because their atomic numbers are different. So for argon, it will be 2882.
Okay.
No, just 288, right? Because it has to make up to 18 electrons. For calcium, it will be 2882.
2882. Yeah.
I cannot write the electronic configuration of calcium as 2810. Although this third shell can contain up to 18 electrons, but this electronic configuration is not acceptable. The complete reason we will understand when we go through class 11 of Bohr principle. But as of now, what we have to remember, that the outermost shell cannot contain more than 2 or 8 electrons.
Okay.
Right? for writing the electronic
Yeah.
configuration as of present level, we will remember outer shell cannot contain more than 2 or 8 electrons.
Okay.
Let us do another question. So let us say the two isotopes
Hmm.
of chlorine, that is Cl, Cl, I can also write isotope as Cl35, Cl37 are present in nature. So Cl is present 75%, chlorine is only found in nature up to 25%. That means in the nature most form of chlorine that we will see is Cl35 only. Now you have to find the average atomic mass of chlorine. So
Yeah.
Cl35 is present in nature as 75%,
Hmm.
Cl37
Yeah.
25% is present. That means the
Hmm.
average atomic mass will be
35 into 3.
75%, or you can say from percent only you can say this is 3/4 and this is 1/4. So you can say 3/4 of 35 plus 1/4 of 37, or you can write in terms of percent only, 35 into 75% plus 25 into 37 divided by 100.
Yeah.
If I
Then
simplify,
this way
these
only
two
I will.
statements will be same. So it will be
Yeah.
35 into 75 by 100 plus
Hmm.
25 by 100 into 37. So this will be 1 by 4
Yeah.
and this will be 3 by 4. You can see it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So overall the result will be 35.5 U.
5. Yeah.
Okay, another one we will do.
Okay.
So let us do this question. The average atomic mass of a sample of an element X is 16.2 U. What are the percentages of isotopes? So assume that the element has two isotopes. This should be given in the question. Even if it is not given, we will take two only, else
Hmm.
it's difficult for us to find for the three isotopic average
Yeah.
atomic mass given. Average atomic mass of a sample of element X is 16.2. That means this is the average atomic mass. So let us say it is already given element has two isotopes. So let's say one isotope, the percentage present is X percent. So another isotope that
Hmm.
will be 100 minus X percent. Now we can frame the expression here. So one isotope, let us say some more part is there for this question. The two
Yeah.
isotopes,
Exactly.
they are X816 and X818. So now we can frame it 16 times X
Yeah.
plus 18 times 100 minus X divided by 100, and this will be 16.2. So if we solve this, we get 16x plus 1800 minus 18x is equal to 1620. Multiplying 100 to this side. So 1800 minus 1620 is equal to 2x. So x will be 190 by 2. 180 by 2. Right? 180 by 2. So this will give us
Yeah.
x as
Na-
90.
Hmm.
That means
Yeah.
the first isotope, that means this is present as, we took this as x, right? 16 into x
Yeah.
we did, so this is x percent, and this was 100 minus x percent. That means
Yeah.
this is 90%, and another one will be 100 minus 90,
10.
that is 10%, right?
Yeah.
So 90% and 10% will be the answer.
Hmm.
So we completed the entire unit, structure of
Yeah.
atom.